What's up, world? This is Salim with Flip for Figs, and today we're taking a look at my LEGO Star Wars UCS collection.
Flip for Figs.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.
Alright, so starting with my personal favorite in the collection, this is the UCS Death Star 2. Interestingly enough, I've never really been challenged by building LEGO, regardless of whether it was a UCS set or anything like that. I've always built them with ease, but I will say that this was my most challenging build ever because you build both halves separately and then you got to connect them and start putting the plates on afterwards, and it just kept kind of falling apart on me. I think, as time has gone on, LEGO has become a lot better about ensuring stability in most of their sets during the build process. But with this one, I think they were like, let's just get it done. But yeah, this is probably my favorite UCS Star Wars LEGO set. I know a lot of people don't love it because of the spaces between the plates, but I don't know how else you can achieve it. It'll be interesting to see what they do with the new Death Star set that's supposed to be coming at the end of this year, 2025. So we'll see. That one's supposed to be a play set, but I think even when they released that Lego Globe a couple years ago, it still had these spaces between the wedges because it's Lego. They're bricks. They're not supposed to be round. Granted, some of the helmets have figured out how to kind of accomplish roundness, but we'll see if that translates well. But yeah, that's my personal favorite. Now above it, we have the TIE Fighter. It's funny because LEGO released two other UCS TIE Fighters before they finally made the classic design. They released the TIE Interceptor, which had the blue in it, which wasn't really movie accurate. Back in the early 2000s, it was probably one of the first ones ever. And then in 2006, they made Darth Vader's Advanced TIE Fighter. But it took them all the way until, I believe, 2014 or 2015. I'll have to check the date, to make the standard TIE Fighter. And this one is just a great iconic set. Again, it's when you're trying to achieve roundness in LEGO, there's a couple different approaches. I personally like this approach versus the wedge-based approach that they did with the new TIE Interceptor that was just released last year. But again, when it comes to doing round in LEGO form, it always poses a challenge. Here we have Boba Fett's Slave One. This is an awesome set as well. I know that when it came out, people just flocked to it. I bought this when I came back into LEGO during COVID. And yeah, it's just a wonderful set. I also have Django Fett's Slave One now, so it's interesting to see them both. But yeah, that one is wonderful. It comes with a really cool Boba Fett figure. He's actually in there. I don't know if you can see him. But yeah, it's a wonderful LEGO set. I think it had around 1,900 pieces. And, with considering it has so many rounded and sloped designs, I think they did a really nice job. Now, above it, we have the Star Destroyer. So displaying this thing was super challenging just because of its size. So I figured that if I want to get it on a wall, I need to kind of use the wedge against the wall. So that's kind of what I did. And it's up there at the very top, so you can't really see the top detail as much, which is a shame. But the only other option would be to get like the Wicked Brick stand, but I just don't love the angle that it puts it at. I mean, Star Destroyers rather, are meant to be kind of in a horizontal position, and seeing it the other way seemed kind of odd, but I'm still debating on whether or not to get that Wicked Brick stand. Now over here, we have the UCS AT-AT. This is another LEGO set that I figured would come a long time ago, especially in the early 2000s when LEGO started making big Star Wars sets. Everybody was hoping for this, but I think they were really struggling with how to do the legs, and the approach they took was really ingenious. I mean, you even have like a little crank that, it's actually right over here. You have it behind the set itself, and you actually use this to turn the legs so that way you don't break them. And it was just really ingenious of LEGO to come up with that, because I don't know how else they would have done this leg design. Now, you can really articulate the legs, but it always feels like it's gonna fall over. So you have to kind of angle the legs in a certain position, and once you get them there, you kind of leave them there. Now, this has a full interior, so a lot of those plates open up, and it's actually minifig scale, and it came with a ton of minifigs. And so I don't know if it's a little larger than minifig scale and they just kind of went with it, or if this is accurate, but you got Luke hanging up over there. And yeah, this is just a wonderful one in the collection. I don't know if it's retired yet, but I feel like no UCS Star Wars Lego collection is complete without the AT-AT. So if you're on the fence, pick it up while you still can. Nearby, I have the Imperial Probe Droid. It's not a UCS set, but it was one of those 18 plus adult sets that came out with the helmets, and I think it looks really cool there. Now, below the UCS AT-AT is probably my second favorite Star Wars UCS set of all time, and that's the Super Star Destroyer. This was another one that I didn't pick up when it originally came out, and I got it after the fact. I actually bought this twice because I got into Lego again in the 2012, 2013, 14, and then I sold them all when I got engaged, and then I rebought them during the pandemic. So I bought this set aftermarket twice. That's how much I like it. I really love the engines back here. A lot of people were unhappy that the bottom was so flat and it doesn't really look great from the bottom, but the engines look really cool. And I don't know, something about this set, I just love it. I'm kind of nervous for the day that they remake it because I know I'll want it, but I don't really need to in my collection. It also came with some cool bounty hunters here from Empire Strikes Back. But yeah, this Super Star Destroyer is just awesome. Now, a little Easter egg with these LEGO UCS Star Wars sets is you'll see here I have the Rebel Blockade Runner. Now, when this was released, it was one of the, I think it was the third UCS Star Wars Lego set that ever came out, and it actually was announced at the same time as that Darth Maul bust, which we'll talk about in a second. And since then, they've made a bunch of different ones of these. But this was the first one, and in my opinion, it's still the best one ever. It's the most substantial. The other ones seem kind of slim and small. And I have really fond memories of this Lego set. My dad bought it for me in 2001, I think, after a trip to Universal Studios. I was like 11 years old, and I was just over the moon. Now, as time has gone on, those engines have sunk a little bit, but it still holds up pretty well. But onto the Easter egg. So you'll see you have the Rebel Blockade Runner there. Then under the Star Destroyer, you have basically another Rebel Blockade Runner. So that's kind of showing you how much bigger the Star Destroyer is compared to the Rebel Blockade Runner. Then if you go over here to the Super Star Destroyer, you have a mini Star Destroyer there, which is actually that large ship in scale with this Super Star Destroyer. And then to keep things going, with the Death Star, you actually have a Super Star Destroyer, which is this same ship in miniature to show you the scale compared to the Death Star. So if anybody ever comes, I kind of like showing them that because it kind of explains the scaling between all these different, what the purported scale would be. Now, they do have the, the scale on all the display stands and whatnot, but not many people are going to sit there and read that. So I kind of like that LEGO included that as a way to, kind of show you how things scale with one another. Now, this is not a UCS Star Wars set. This is part of their Master Builder series. It's kind of like an advanced playset set. This is Betrayal at Cloud City. This is a set that wasn't really that popular upon release, but I think, has kind of grown a cult following afterwards, kind of like the original Cloud City did. And this one's quickly going up in value because that Boba Fett is exclusive, similar to how the original Cloud City skyrocketed in value because of Boba Fett. Now, this one is a hard one to display because of its wide footprint, so I bought the Wicked Brick display stand here, which is really cool because it kind of elevates everything. And then you can put the Cloud Car there. Now, this is not the, sorry, I don't know why that's there. This is not the actual, Luke and Vader duel that comes with it. I have that one somewhere in storage, but this was a 40th anniversary set. And I thought that the display looked perfect because it is the Battle of Bespin, and technically it's under Cloud City. So yeah, that's Cloud City. Now, let's go here to the Big Daddy. Now, this is the Millennium Falcon. It's probably the longest running UCS Star Wars Lego set ever. I think the original one was only available from 2005 to 2008. And at the time, people weren't spending money on Lego as they are now. And so it was unheard of at the time for how expensive it was. And I didn't buy it when it came out. So when I got back into collecting Star Wars Lego in like 2012, I wanted this, but it was like $5,000, or rather not this one, the original release. And then they started, then I ended up selling my Lego collection and getting back into it. And interestingly enough, I bought this set This was my first Lego set after I got back into collecting, and I bought it in 2017 upon release, and it was the only Lego set I had for a long time until I bought the Disney Castle to put in my daughter's room, and then before I knew it, I had like 30 huge Lego sets. But this set's awesome, and this is one that really benefits from the Wicked Brick display stand, because otherwise it's really impossible to display this because it's flat and low to the ground, and you just need a lot. I've seen people put it in coffee tables and whatnot, but in my opinion, this is the way to go. You kind of have it in that fighter position, and unlike the Star Destroyer over there, this is, you know, the Millennium Falcon is always seen flying in this position. So I highly recommend, if you have this set and are trying to figure out how to display it, get that display stand from Wicked Brick. Now this is the Imperial Shuttle. Like the Super Star Destroyer, I bought this twice aftermarket because I missed out on it originally. This, in my opinion, is a perfect Star Wars UCS Lego set. It's just, I mean, the cockpit is minifig scale. There isn't much of an interior elsewhere, but man, is it just the, you know, the build, the size of it, the fact that, you know, despite how heavy the wings are, you can actually crank them up to have it in the landing position. It's just awesome. I think the only thing that would have made it better is if it came with a couple Royal Guards. If you watched my Hot Toys collection video, you'll know I'm just obsessed with Royal Guards. So yeah, that's the Imperial Shuttle. Over here we have the Bwing. Now, out of all the Rebel starfighters, this is probably like the redheaded stepchild. I think everyone loves an X-Wing and an A-Wing and a Y-Wing, but the B-Wing is kind of awkward looking and it didn't get much screen time. And the UCS Star Wars set, although it kind of achieved the look of the B-Wing perfectly, for some reason, people just didn't love it. They didn't care for it much. I think, you know, it's just a testament to how weird and awkward the ship is, but I think Lego did a killer job, and once you build it, it's really great, and the way that you display it on the stand makes it really cool. But again, it is just an awkward ship. This is really the only position you can display it in. I think there's a way to display it with the cockpit lower to the ground and the back wing up in the sky, but don't quote me on that because I think I remember trying it and it didn't work out. So. But yeah, that's the B-Wing. Again, if you need all the Rebel starfighters like I do, it's a must. I don't know if they'll ever remake this set because it took so long to get it. I think it came out in 2013, and then it wasn't that popular when it did come out. Now the X-Wing. So this is actually the Red 5 X-Wing starfighter. This was the second out of 3 total UCS Star Wars X-Wings. The first came out in 2000 with the TIE Interceptor, and I had that one originally. That one was all gray and it had some green and red pieces in it. You know, at the time it was wonderful because no other Lego set had ever done what it was trying to do. But then as time went on, you know, it really showed its age. So when this set came out, it was really popular, and I still think it's better than the one that came out, you know, in 2022 or 2023, because I don't know, something about that one just didn't sit right with me. So I think if you're gonna get an X-Wing, obviously you got to do what makes fiscal sense for you and what's available, but I think this is the best one. Now the A-Wing. So the A-Wing is actually the set that got me back into collecting all the Star Wars UCS ships, because I remember always wanting the A-Wing starfighter when they released the others, and I thought it was strange that they omitted it for so many years. And then I had the Millennium Falcon and I was like, you know what, I'm good with that. That's all I need from Star Wars. It represents the entire line. And then they announced the A-Wing in 2020, which was also when everyone was getting stimulus checks, and I just had to have it, and then I went down the rabbit hole of getting everything else. So the A-Wing is great. I think it's perfect. The size, the shapes, the details, everything about it is just awesome. I think they conveyed it in Lego form perfectly, and it was well worth the wait. Now here you have the Ywing starfighter. This is the second UCS Star Wars Ywing fighter. The original one was similarly built, also had kind of the engines that droop over time in the back. This one had better greebling, but a lot of people had gripes with the cockpit because it's just a minifig scale cockpit for a UCS ship. So a lot of people complained about that. It was never a big deal for me, but I can see why people didn't like that. But I love the Ywing. It's my personal favorite of all the Rebel starships, and so I was really excited when they re-released it because I missed out on the original one and it didn't seem like it was holding up too well. Now over here we have the Razer Crest. I actually bought the Razer Crest before even watching The Mandalorian because it was on sale one year, And I remember looking through the instructions and kind of videos, and I just loved the way it came together, and they handled the shaping of it perfectly. I think of all of the Star Wars Lego sets I've built, this one was probably the most enjoyable build, because you build a lot of the components separately and then you put them together and it's just very satisfying. Next to that is the Gunship. For some reason, everyone hated this set. I don't know why, I'll never understand. I think some YouTuber made a big fuss and people bought into the controversy, even though there really wasn't any. But I mean, it looks like a minifig scale Gunship brought to UCS format. I think people were bummed out that they didn't include like a Commander Cody figure or anything like that. And I remember the designer specifically said, oh, we didn't want to, put an exclusive figure in such an expensive set. And it's like, but you do that all the time anyways. And they still do it. So it was really weird. But this set was actually chosen by fans to be the next UCS Star Wars set. It was up against, I believe, a TIE bomber, and I don't remember what the other option was. But yeah, I like it. I mean, I love prequel sets, and we don't have many of them. So I think it's great. Now above there, the Darth Maul bust. So this is an unusual one, because considering that at the time this was announced, LEGO had only made 3 other UCS Star Wars sets, the X-Wing, the TIE Interceptor, and the Rebel Blockade Runner. This was a kind of interesting choice, but it was released in 2001, so not long after Star Wars The Phantom Menace was released. And so I think they wanted to capitalize on that. I remember getting this set for my 10th birthday, and I was just in heaven. It's all I wanted. I built it in one night. I stayed up for 18 hours straight building it. It's a top-down view when you're building it, and so one piece you're putting could be like 10 layers above what looks like the piece next to it. So it was actually a difficult build, even when I rebuilt it, because this is another set that I sold with box and instructions when I got engaged. And then when it came time to buy it back, it was like $2,000 to buy it new. And every single piece is really common except those cylindrical pieces at the bottom. Those are black and they only came in this set, and each one is like $100. And I wasn't gonna spend $400 for cylindrical pieces because I was able to get all the pieces to build it for that amount or less than. So this is kind of rebuilt by me, just buying pieces online and putting it together. Eventually I may get the black cylinder pieces to go under there just to make it complete, but for now it's good enough for me. But yeah, this holds a special place in my heart just because I love Darth Maul so much, and I remember wanting no other LEGO set more than I wanted this one when it was announced. I remember looking at the catalog every day, telling my brother at the time, this is what I want for my birthday, and he was like scoffed at the idea of spending $119 to buy it for me. And so years later, when I sold it for like $1,100, he couldn't believe it. But yeah, that's Darth Maul. My most recent addition here is Django Fett's Slave 1. Surprisingly, we got one Django Fett Slave 1 back around the time Attack of the Clones was released, and we hadn't gotten another one since, which is crazy because they reissue so many different LEGO sets all the time. So when this UCS set was announced, I was all over it. I think it's perfect. It looks really nice with the other Slave 1, Boba Fett Slave 1, and I just love having it here near the Republic Gunship to kind of represent the prequel trilogy. Got the helmets up there, so I have Boba Fett, Stormtrooper, Darth Vader, Scout Trooper, TIE Pilot, and below that AT-AT Pilot, Commander Cody, Captain Rex, and the Mandalorian. I will be getting the other helmets eventually to go over Django Fett Slave 1. And then I have some other ones down here that are in cabinets that are not lit. But I have the Snowspeeder. This is the second Snowspeeder. I had the original back in the day, and then I bought this one when it came out. It's great, but this one is a set that looks better when you're looking at it from down below, because when it's high up, you see more of the bottom. So it's really a set that you kind of have to look down on in order to really get the full detail. And I got the Cantina in there. My kids always come in and play with the minifigures, which is why they're all kind of all over the place. This is a set that has a beautiful interior, and there's just not enough space in there to show it off. But once I get my modu cases and rearrange my shelving, I'll definitely have this one on display, and we'll take some pics and maybe a new updated video, because I do plan to add the new UCS AT-ST and the new UCS TIE Interceptor and Jabba Sail Barge to the collection. Then I got Luke's Landspeeder here. This is a set that many people, when it was announced, they were like, nobody asked for this. I guess because they feel like there's some other omissions from the LEGO Star Wars UCS line, but I like it. It's very swooshable. It's held together very nicely, and I think that, you know, Luke and his Landspeeder is very iconic to the original trilogy, and like most of you, I love the original trilogy, so this set was a no-brainer. And another one of my most recent additions was the Ventor. Now, this was a ship that people were dying to get, and wasn't as fussed about it because at the time I wasn't really into the Clone Wars, and I remember seeing this ship in the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, I mean, I just remember thinking, wow, it's really expensive for a ship I don't care as much about. But LEGO was having like a double, or I think a four times VIP points on specific Star Wars sets, and so they had it on this one this summer, and I just decided to go for it. It's really great, and I did put it on that Wicked Brick stand, and I know I sound kind of like a hypocrite because this is another ship like the Star Destroyer over there, which really doesn't belong at this angle, but it just looks so good in that angle. And I actually ordered the Wicked Brick stand as soon as I got the Ventor because I had no other way to display it. But yeah, the ship is awesome. Alrighty, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed taking a look at my LEGO Star Wars UCS collection. I do have a lot of other LEGO sets that I'll show you next time, like the modular building series, some of the Marvel sets, and a lot of the other, you know, large kind of direct-to-consumer LEGO sets. But for now, this was Salim with Flip for Figs, and I'll see you next time.
When I flip, you flip, we flip.